I'm going to get out. And if it settles down and I feel more comfortable, maybe I'll come back. But as of tonight, I'm done.
I would be surprised if at the end of the day we learn this was simply an effort by the FBI to retrieve records. There probably is something much more significant there.
She has not returned home for the evening. She's also been keeping a low profile today after federal agents were inside her house.
What the FBI discovered when they raided Whoopi Goldberg's residence is alarming. The calm streets outside Whoopi's estate were illuminated by flashing red and blue lights late at night. The car doors opened a moment later, and a group of agents, wearing tactical gear, emerged. They made quick work of encircling Whoopi's residence. While some agents guarded the rear and side exits, others set up shop at the main entrance. And then there was a knock. Not the kind of neighbor who begs for sweets, but the one who expects a prompt response. She panicked when Whoopi Goldberg finally answered the door. As she turned to face the team in front of her, her face became dramatic, almost as though she had been waiting for them. What precisely was she expecting, though, if such were the case? More significantly, what did she anticipate discovering? The agents didn't waste any time, though. They hurried about, inspecting every area of the house. They went downstairs after that. Things began to get intriguing at that point. The shelves in the basement were piled high with vintage books, movie memorabilia, and sentimental items. However, one agent saw something strange about a bookcase next to the rear wall. There was a slight groan as they pressed against it, and then a concealed panel opened. There was a locked metal box behind it, something far more secure than a jewelry box or a document safe. Then Whoopi said something. The agents didn't hesitate, even though her voice was shaking. With a set of tools in hand, one of them began to break the lock. As agents opened the metal box, there was a lot of tension in the room. It initially appeared to be a collection of flash drives, folders, and some pictures. However, it became evident that this was more than simply outdated documents as soon as they began looking over the contents. Highly sensitive photos and documents were found within the box, according to people close to the investigation. We're discussing private images of well-known politicians, celebrities, and business titans. Images that could only be kept in a secret chamber and should never have been shared. The sensitive nature of these photos and the fact that they were stored in such a manner beg important questions. In the end, the only thing the FBI can do is make sure that we remain committed to carrying out our duties in the proper manner, abiding by our regulations, and without allowing partisan or other biases to influence or taint our methodology. After those photos were found, the FBI's investigation continued. Investigators discovered financial M records among the documents, which indicated that suspect organizations were associated with offshore bank accounts. Transfers of funds across accounts appeared to have no apparent owner. According to law enforcement sources, some of these transactions directly led to illicit networks, which they had been monitoring for some time. The crucial question now is, why would Whoopi possess these items at all? Why were these files buried in her house if she had nothing to do with whatever this was? Was she even aware of them? What part did she play in all of this, if she did? The feds were left with further questions at this stage. However, Whoopi herself chose to address the matter a few days later, so the hush was short-lived. Although everyone had something to say, nobody asked how they were doing. Yes, how are you? Yes, because it incorporates a lot of other things. Additionally, I believe that how we treat ourselves matters. The View was the center of attention the morning, following the news. Whoopi, seated at the table with her co-hosts, leaned forward and spoke directly to the audience. She didn't try to minimize the situation or crack jokes. She was prepared to defend herself because she was aware of how awful this appeared, nor did her legal team waste any time. They issued a press briefing stating that the box wasn't hers within hours of her assertion. It must have been kept by someone else, they insisted. Here's the problem, though. Who did it, if that were true? And why? All of this is suspiciously timed. The FBI doesn't simply raid someone's house on the basis of hearsay. They had sufficient proof to persuade a judge to approve the warrant. So Whoopi's behavior was really a chance miscommunication. However, not everyone shares that opinion, and the situation is becoming more dire every day. Insiders claim that the names discovered within that metal box weren't chosen at random. The contents were purportedly connected to some of Hollywood's most well-known figures, A-list performers, influential producers, and even people with ties to Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein. Let's take a moment now. This is no longer just about Whoopi if these allegations are accurate. This concerns a whole network of powerful individuals. But Hollywood wasn't the end of the probe. Another startling revelation emerged as the FBI proceeded to examine the financial documents that were discovered in the box. Transactions discovered by investigators connected Whoopi's offshore accounts to prominent politicians, people who are often not involved in celebrity turmoil. This now raises severe concerns. Why would a Hollywood starlet use offshore accounts to establish financial ties with politicians? Over the years, Whoopi has amassed a sizable corporate empire, but something about these transactions didn't seem right. It was challenging to track down the final destination of the large amounts of money that were shifting between sham corporations. Experts intervened at that point. Some people think that Whoopi's companies might have unintentionally been utilized to finance illicit activities. Some of the businesses associated with her name were fronts for a much larger scheme. Let's assume that Whoopi was unaware of the entire situation, which is where things get really complicated. Ignorance is not always a valid defense in court. Even in that situation, she might still be held accountable if her business was involved, whether or not she was aware of it. Furthermore, the FBI wasn't handling this as a minor mistake, judging by their actions. But the intensity was just going to increase, because someone else was targeted just when the fans believed they had heard it all. There had recently been an arrest of one of Whoopi's closest business associates. And not for a small-time financial offense. The FBI claims that this person was a part of a global human trafficking organization. Take a moment to process the information. A person who had a direct connection to Whoopi's company was now facing one of the most heinous charges. This is where the situation becomes even more worrisome. According to bank records, Whoopi herself had accounts linked to some of the money that was laundered and used to finance this enterprise. The evidence was mounting at this stage. Whoopi's money is now directly linked to a criminal business, as evidenced by the concealed box, financial documents, and strange connections.
Everybody makes the choice in life. If I have to be concerned that you are upset with me, you're thinking, oh, you and I have a connection. You don't realize there are 10,000 other people who are yelling the same stuff at me.
Whoopi was formally called in for interrogation by the FBI shortly after the raid. She wasn't alone, though, when she entered that chamber. She was accompanied by her legal team. They also had a single, unambiguous directive: keep quiet. At this point, the situation became even more intriguing, because Whoopi chose to remain silent rather than defend herself. Silence can sometimes speak louder than words in circumstances like this. This is not the end of the probe. The FBI is still investigating, and given what they have already found, it is impossible to predict what else may surface. Are there any additional names that could be revealed? Is Whoopi in danger of legal issues? I promise you that this may only be the first of many questions that remain. So leave your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe this channel for more videos.